enjoyed. It's celebrated for its binding properties, providing a stretchy quality that is fundamental to many baking and cooking processes. However, despite its widespread use and enjoyment it brings to many diets, gluten provides no essential nutrients, raising questions about its impact on health, particularly on those with conditions like celiac disease and autoimmune diseases, where gluten is a known trigger for inflammation. In exploring the relationship between gluten, health benefits, and potential risks, this podcast delves into the nutritional aspects of gluten containing grains, the health implications for individuals with sensitivity or autoimmune response to gluten, such as those with celiac disease, and broader effects of adopting a gluten-free diet. Today's podcast aim is to provide a balanced view, navigating the complex terrain of gluten and its place in a healthy diet, while also considering the rise of gluten-free diets and their impact on individuals without celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. So, understanding gluten and grains. Gluten, like I mentioned before, is protein naturally present in several grains, including wheat, barley, rye, and triticale. It's also found in wheat derivatives like wheat berries, spelt, durum, semonella, among all others. Semolina, sorry, not salmonella. While oats are inherently gluten-free, they often contain gluten due to cross-contamination during processing of cultivation. So, if you guys that know or don't know, especially for people that eat oats, okay? So if a person is celiac or has an autoimmune disease related to gluten, they have to be very, very careful when they buy oats, right? Oats is naturally wheat-free, but when we process oats, we often cross-contaminate because we do it in the same manufacturer, okay? So you guys have to be very careful that when you buy oats, it actually says gluten-free oats, okay? Because just regular oats, okay, can find traces of gluten, so be very careful. So, what are the different gluten-containing wheats or grains? So there are about 10. So it's barley, rye, triticale, wheat, and all of forms and such of emmer, farro, curacin wheat. Naturally gluten-free grains are millet, corn, rice, and quinoa do not contain gluten. However, it's crucial to ensure that it's processed in a gluten-free facility to avoid contamination. Like I mentioned before, guys, if you're a celiac disease or if you have an autoimmune disease related to or just inflammatory issues that rise when you eat gluten, make sure that whenever you buy the package, it says clearly gluten-free because it can be cross-contaminated, okay? So, dietary considerations for gluten intolerance, okay? So, there are 3 different intolerances, okay? One being very severe to less severe, okay? So number 1, if you guys know, it's very popular nowadays, it's called the celiac disease. So this one is obviously very, very dangerous, requires complete avoidance of gluten as it can cause severe intestinal damage and other health issues. Number 2 is a wheat allergy, so a bit less severe. It involves an allergic reaction to wheat but may allow for consumption of gluten from non-wheat sources. And number 3, which most people, okay, in the world have today because of the poor quality of our wheat crops, okay, NCGS, characterized by symptoms similar to celiac disease but without the autoimmune intestinal damage. So you might get bloated, you might feel lack of energy, but it doesn't hurt you in any way, okay? So now that we went through the classification of gluten and non-gluten, now we're gonna look at actually the benefits of a grain-free diet, okay? So grain-free diet. Opting for a grain-free diet can be beneficial for individuals with autoimmune diseases, digestive issues like IBS, or high cholesterol. This diet excludes all grains but includes non-grain sources of carbohydrates such as sweet potatoes, pumpkins, and carrots. Safe practices for a gluten-free diet. To safely adhere to a gluten-free diet, especially for those with celiac disease or severe gluten sensitivity, it is essential to choose a grain and flours that are labeled gluten-free, such as buckwheat, amaranth, and quinoa. B. Be vigilant about cross-contamination in food processing and preparation areas. C. Regularly consult food labels to ensure products do not contain more than 20 parts per million BPM of gluten. By understanding the different types of grains and their gluten content, individuals can make informed dietary choices to support their health needs, whether they require a gluten-free or grain-free diet. So guys, before continuing on, okay, I just want to mention, okay, so I'm speaking right now from my gym that is live here in Laval, Quebec, Canada, okay. So if you guys are interested in training or just losing weight, right now we have a great special called the Summer Body Special 3. I'm not gonna go through everything, but if you're interested in this special, you have 32 classes, 2 private classes, a new diet plan, and much, much more. The total prize worth or money worth of this program is $1,500, and if you buy it now, it's $299 tax in. If you're interested, okay, the consultation is for free. You can send me an email at fullbodyathletics@gmail.com. Now continue with the podcast. So, health benefits of gluten and grains. Now we spoke of the health benefits of non-gluten. Now let's speak about benefits of gluten. So, number one, gluten is a prebiotic, okay? Gluten, often vilified in dietary discussions, plays a beneficial role in your gut health. It acts as a prebiotic, feeding the beneficial bacteria in our digestive system. This interaction can help to enhance the overall health of our gut flora, which is crucial for digestion and immune function. So, grains, as much as good as they can be, okay, or taste as they can be, they come with some dangers, even if you're not gluten intolerant. Number one, heart disease and stroke. Studies show that higher intakes of whole grains are associated with significantly lower rates of heart disease and stroke. Sorry, this is the positive, not the negative, the positive output of grains, okay? Whole grains especially. Number two, type 2 diabetes. Regular consumption of whole grains can correlate with a reduced risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Number three, overall mortality. Incorporating more whole grains to your diet can reduce the risk of mortality from all causes. So to our 3 benefits, number one, helps with disease and stroke. Number two, helps lower type 2 diabetes. And number three, it helps with overall mortality. What are the nutritional benefits or micronutrients found in grains? Grains, whether whole or enriched, are integral to a balanced diet. They are rich sources of antioxidants, dietary fiber, B vitamins, vitamin E, and minerals such as magnesium and iron. These nutrients contribute to various health benefits, supporting everything from energy levels to brain function and cellular health. Gluten-free diet considerations. While gluten-free is essential for individuals like conditions like celiac disease, it also benefits from a broader audience. Symptom relief. People suffering from autoimmune diseases, bowel disease, and fibromyalgia, endometriosis, and schizophrenia can experience symptom relief from a gluten-free diet. So when you eat gluten-free and you have maybe these diseases, it can actually help lower them. Number two, weight management. Often those who switch to a gluten-free diet might lose weight primarily if they reduce their intake of processed foods and refined carbohydrates, which are common sources of gluten. Potential risks and concerns, okay? So what are the risks and concerns of gluten, okay? So autoimmune and allergic reactions, like we mentioned before. Gluten consumption can lead to severe health issues for those with celiac disease, dermatitis, hyperthyroidism, wheat allergy, and non-celiac gluten sensitivity. These conditions can trigger symptoms ranging from mild discomfort like bloating and fatigue to severe consequences, including malnutrition and intestinal damage. Number two, nutritional deficiencies. Gluten-free diets, while necessary for some, often lack vital nutrients. Individuals on these diets might experience deficiencies in dietary fiber, folate, niacin, biotin, vitamin B12, which are essential for overall health. Number three, increased consumption of unhealthy ingredients. So when you're not eating bread or healthy grains, you might be eating other things that are not so good for you. Many processed gluten-free products are high in calories, fats, and sugars, but low in essential nutrients, presenting a risk of weight gain and other health benefits. Economic and social implications. The cost of gluten-free products is generally higher, which can be economically straining. Additionally, dietary restrictions can lead to social isolation and challenges in communal eating settings. And number five, Risk of additional health complications. For those without celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, unnecessary gluten avoidance can lead to health risks such as poor cardiovascular health and increased exposure to toxic metals like arsenic and mercury found in some gluten-free processed products. By understanding these potential risks and concerns, individuals can make more informed decisions about their diet, include balancing gluten intake and overall health needs effectively. So as you can see, guys, it's not as just clear cut as it is, right? If you avoid gluten, okay, for some of you, gluten is probably the only grains that you guys are eating and so forth. If you're not eating these healthy grains, it may hurt you in terms of your overall health. So be careful, okay? Yes, you can reduce gluten intake, but completely removing it can hurt your health long term, especially if it's good grains, whole grains. The impact of gluten-free diets, okay? So like I mentioned before, cost implications, okay? A gluten-free diet is a lot more expensive. So as much as you want to be gluten-free, don't forget, okay? And long as it's very, very expensive to buy gluten-free, gluten-free products, okay? And it's very expensive to start buying more meats and more fats because those things are more expensive just in general, right? Number two, social challenges, okay? So it's not cool when you're the only person at the table that doesn't eat bread or doesn't eat grains, especially when it's your own choice, not because you have any underlying issues. So it's very, very tough long-term to maintain. So what are the market trends and consumer behavior of gluten-free? So as we can see, okay, gluten-free has taken over by storm, okay? Industry growth is through the roof. In 2016 alone, with sales were reaching over 15.5 billion in 2016. The trend is driven not only by those with medical needs, but also by consumers without celiac disease or gluten sensitivity who perceive gluten-free products as healthier options. Consumer demographics studies indicate that a significant portion of gluten-free product consumers do not have a diagnosed gluten-free related disorder, suggesting a strong influence of dietary trends and marketing on consumer behavior. So by understanding these diverse impacts, individuals can make more informed decisions about adopting and continuing a gluten-free diet based on their specific health condition and lifestyle needs. So, what are the gluten-free diet principles that I want you guys to follow if you start adopting a gluten-free diet? Okay, so number one, avoid grains, okay, especially wheat, barley, rye, and triticale. So just be careful that these things, okay, they contain wheat, okay? So just be careful, all right? They don't contain wheat, sorry. So you can eat these things, okay? Also, if you see these grains, okay, in labels, that means that the label contains grains, okay? So you have to be very careful, okay? So these are 4 grains that are contained, you can see that are wheat, okay? So you have wheat, barley, rye, and triticale, okay? So be careful that when you look in labels that you don't have one of these 4, okay? Number 2, always look for gluten or gluten-containing ingredients or labels. Number 3, opt for naturally gluten-free foods. Include a variety of fruits, vegetables, beans, seeds, legumes, nuts, lean meats, fish, poultry, low-fat dairy products, and eggs in your diet. Choose safe grains and flours. Use gluten-free options like amaranth, arrowroot, buckwheat, corn, flax, millet, quinoa, rice, sorghum, soy, tapioca, and teff. So, what are high fiber? So the problem that I have as a naturopath is when people get off a whole grain diet, okay? I always have to give them a high fiber gluten alternatives because if you stop eating gluten, okay, in general, you're gonna be lacking fiber. So let's go with some high options of fiber that you can eat instead of eating bread, okay? So number 1, legumes, right? So legumes, beans, lentils, these contains very, very, very high amounts of fiber. So eating them would be very, very beneficial for your diet. Number 2, fruits, obviously, vegetables, sweet potatoes, ground flax seeds, chia seeds, quinoa, buckwheat, millet, wild and brown rice, and nuts. Okay, so now that you're eating less bread, okay, you have to make sure that you're eating enough fiber, okay, because bread contains a lot of fiber, especially the whole grain version. So if you're removing all gluten from your diet plan, make sure that you're eating those foods. Okay, so tips for increasing even more fiber intake. Okay, number one, hydrate. Increase water intake to aid fiber digestion and prevent constipation. 2, avoid cross-contamination, like I mentioned before. 3, diverse diet. Mix and match gluten-free grains like amaranth, quinoa, or teff with whole grain brown rice. 4, enhance meals. Add beans to soups, salads, and casseroles, and use fruits and vegetables as snacks. 5, experiment. Try new recipes substituting whole grain-free grains to discover flavors and textures that suit your palate. So, conclusion. Through the exploration of gluten and its impact on health, we have navigated the complex web of nutritional science to uncover the benefits and downsides of incorporating or excluding gluten-free from our diets. The article emphasizes the critical need of awareness regarding gluten-free sensitivity and importance of balanced diet, whether one chooses to consume gluten or not, and the implications of a gluten-free lifestyle for those without medical necessity. We have seen that while gluten poses no dietary benefits on its own, grains containing gluten offer a variety of essential benefits for overall health, underscoring the importance of an informed dietary choice based on individual health needs. The journey towards understanding gluten's role in diet and health does not end here. It beckons a broader conversation about making informed food choices and recognizing the broader implications of diet trends on health and society. For those navigating gluten-free related health issues or considering a shift toward away from gluten, this discourse highlights the importance of consultation with a healthcare provider to tailor dietary choices that align with personal health requirements and goals. Ultimately, the quest for a balanced and natural informed approach to gluten and grains is a critical step towards achieving optimal health and well-being in a world rich with dietary diversity. So guys, all that to say, okay, it's not as easy and clear cut than it looks, right? So you guys may think, well, I'm gonna just stop eating gluten. Well, make sure that if you're stop eating gluten, that you're eating enough fiber, so like that it doesn't hurt your health. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's podcast. It's very jam-packed podcast, as you can remember. If you have a hard time understanding all the concepts, you can come back to it and listen to it twice again. Even for myself, okay, it is a bit confusing, right? But understand that it's not because you know somebody that's gluten sensitive that you are gluten sensitive, okay? An easy way for you to know if you're gluten sensitive or not is just pay attention to how your body reacts whenever you eat a gluten-rich meal. Hopefully you guys enjoy, guys. Have yourselves a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you soon. Take care. Love and peace. Ciao. 1,